This conference will now be recorded.
Right. So what is method overriding team? So methods within two relationship classes having same name, that is we are calling as method overriding. What is the use of method overriding? When we will go for a method overriding, whenever you are not satisfied with the parent class method implementation and take same method in child class and give the enhancement, right? So I have two classes. Morning we have discussed, right? I have two classes at the time. If my class, the parent class method, if I'm not satisfied with my parent class method, just go for a child class method and give the enhancement of that particular method, right? So for that we have taken a class, right? I think we have discussed the bank method overloading. See, we have discussed this, right? See, this is the overrided method. So I'm overriding this account security method in which class? New bank class. Coming from which class? RBI bank. Because my new bank is a child class of RBI class. This time, so I'm not satisfied the method which is presenting in parent class, because I'm overriding this account security method. Clear, team? And how to access this one? How to access this one, team? Always create object of a child class and override the method and execute the method. So remember, so always method execution by the time of overriding, method execution is depends upon runtime object. Runtime object in a sense, the class which we are creating object after the new keyword. Remember, in Java, entire Java, there is only one keyword called new. New nothing but you are creating object. You are creating object for what? You are creating object for a class. Whatever the class present after the new keyword, for that class only you are creating object. Remember, blindly remember, whatever the class after the new keyword, for that class only you are creating object. In entire Java, you can create only for a class. One and only thing you can create object for, that is class. Other than class, you cannot create object for anything. Object nothing but you are creating a memory inside JVM. Remember, the key points you have to remember is, see, new is a keyword from Java. Whenever you come across a new, you are creating object. For what you can create object? For class you can create object. And for which class you are creating object? After the new keyword, whatever the class present, for that class you are creating object. That is we are calling as a runtime. And always method execution depends upon runtime object. Nothing but the object which we are going to create. If you're having the parent class and child class, always method execution is depends upon child class, not on the parent class. See, anyway, it is by the time of runtime. See, by the time of compile time, see, this is a compile time. The method which shows from the parent class, because the reference is parent class, but by the time of execution, the method will execute from child class. Always priority goes to child class.
This conference will now be recorded.
Remember, team. So always remember, in Java we have a keyword called new. So when we will use this new keyword, whenever you want to create object, use the syntax class name, object name is called new class name. And remember, blindly remember, after the new keyword, whatever the class may be, for that class only you are creating object. With new keyword, what we can do with new keyword, we can able to create object. So for what? For class only, enter the Java. By using new keyword, we can able to create object for a class inside a JVM. Let's consider this is object for a class, nothing but we are creating a memory for a class. By using what? So by using a special keyword in Java, what is a special keyword? special keyword is new. If you are saying in new, nothing but you are creating object. For what we can create object? For class only we can create object. For which class we are creating object? RBI or bank? Here we are creating object for bank class because this is the class after my new keyword. Remember, so this is may change after equals, left side may change, whether it may be a self class, whether it may be a parent, sometimes whether it may be interface. We'll discuss what is interface. So this left side may change, but right side it should not change. If it is changing, we are creating object. Clear? That is method overloading. When we are going for a method overloading, whenever you have a requirement of, whenever you're not satisfied with the parent class implementation, just add implementation and enhance the implementation of parent class methods in child class by special annotation in override. This is an optional. If you maintain or not maintain, always program consider this is a method overloading because the method name presenting in parent class and child class. To override a methods, what are the keywords we have to remember, team? Always there may be at least one child class, at least one parent class, right? So always we should have one parent class, right? So one parent class and one child class. Remember, one parent class and child class. Always we are overriding in which class? Child class, right? So we are giving extra code which is presenting in parent class of other than the, so along with parent class code, along with parent class method code, we are adding extra enhancement. Now this time we have to create object for which class? Child class. Always whenever you are executing program, always priority goes to which class methods? Always priority goes to child class method. But by the time of compilation, it will show you which class methods, team. If I have a same methods in parent class and child class, if I create object by the time method. Exactly. So by the time of compilation, observe, it will show you by the time of compilation, it will show you parent class, but execution time, but it will execute from child class. That's why the overriding is also called a runtime polymorphism. This is also calling as runtime polymorphism. Why we are calling runtime polymorphism? Because so which method will be executed, we will get to know by the time of runtime only. And method overloading is calling as compile time polymorphism. Why we are calling compile time polymorphism? Because by the time of compilation only we are able to know which method will execute based on your parameter. So method will execute, right? By the before execution only we can able to know. So what is the execution result? What is the result of execution method? So if I am passing single parameter method will execute. If I am passing double parameter method will be going to execute. If I am passing triple parameter, and the resultant method will be triple parameter overloaded method. That's why we are calling as method overloading is compile time polymorphism. Method overriding is runtime polymorphism. Why runtime? Because after the runtime, by the time of runtime only, program will decide which method has to execute. By seeing we cannot say this method will execute. By the time of runtime, after the runtime only, program or we can decide, we can get to know which method will going to be executed. Clear, team? Please let me know if you have any doubts. Compiled and runtime polymorphism is of two types: compile time polymorphism, runtime polymorphism. So compile time polymorphism is best example is method overloading. Runtime polymorphism is example is method overriding. For method overloading, methods having with same name differentiated with parameters within single class or double class. Method overloading is a concept of applicable for only single class. Method within the class, within the same class. And method overriding, it is method with the name in two classes, and two classes must be, here you have to stress, two relationship classes. See, if it is a class A, class B, let's consider this is a class A and this is a class B. So here we are having a one method, test method. Here we are having one method, test method. Can we say these are the overloaded methods or overridden methods?
నాకు వీడియో ఏం కనిపించట్లేదండి ఇక్కడ.
Sorry madam, it may be your bandwidth problem.
జ్యోతి గారికి కూడా స్క్రీన్ స్టక్ అయింది కదా అన్నారు.
Let me check. Screen. Is it okay now?
ఇప్పుడు ఓకే.
Burger Miku.
This conference will now be recorded.
See team. So just consider I'm having two classes. So consider this is my class A and this is my class B. So when we can say method overloading, when we can say method overriding? Please respond team. Can we say this one is method overloading and method overriding? Anyone?
రైడింగ్.
Method
ఓవర్రైడింగ్.
Overloading.
See, when until unless there is no any relationship between my two classes, as of now there is no any relationship between my A class and B class. Remember team, as of now there is no any relation between my A class and B class. So when we can say method overloading, whenever my class having a method, see, so whenever I'm having a method like this, I can say my test method is overloaded in which class? A class. This is test is one method and test integer is one method. Now I can say in A class there is a concept of method overloading until unless if I don't have any method. So if I having only single method, I cannot say this is a method overloading. Remember, method overloading is a concept whenever you'll get the concept whenever your class having the methods at least or minimum two methods. Yes or no? How many methods we should have in for method overloading? Within the class, and the condition is minimum two methods. Yes or no? Otherwise we cannot say this is a method overloading. And your class must have minimum two methods and the two methods should be common name. And now the test method with 0 parameters and test method with single integer parameter. Now I can say there is a method overloading concept in class A. Otherwise you should not say this is a method overloading concept. The minimum condition is your class should have a minimum two methods and methods name should be common. So if the method name is not the test, let's consider this is a add method. Can we say this is a method overloading? We should not say, because what is the condition? There may be a class and there may be a minimum two methods and those two methods should be a common name. And so those two methods we can differentiate with the parameters. That is the condition, right? Now observe, when we can say method overloading. So as of now, this we have a two classes, class A and class B. Can we say this is method overload? No, we should not say. Why? So always your class will have a relationship extends B. Now this time I can say method overloading concept. Why? My classes are in relationship. For method overloading, what is the condition, team? What is the condition for method overriding? For method overriding, the condition is minimum two classes, comma, and two classes should have common methods. Methods with same name. That is the condition. Are you able to differentiate method overloading and overriding? Clear, team, what I'm trying to say here? So always remember, if I say method overloading, blindly how to say there is a class, inside a class, minimum two methods should be common name. If I say method overriding, there will be two classes in relationship, and there is a common method in two relationship classes. Clear? Clear, right? Sweta, Bhargavi, clear, right? And don't confuse for method overloading and overriding. See, for understanding purpose, let's consider. So this is override, nothing but we are overwriting. Nothing but overwriting. We are overwriting what? We are overwriting a method of parent class. Overloading, nothing but we are overloading. So method to method, we are loading parameters
Sir.
for method. Yes or no? For method to method, we are overloading parameters. We are increasing parameters. That is called overloading. Overwriting, nothing but overriding. What we are overriding? We are overriding parent class methods in child class. Clear? Still any confusion, please let me know between overriding and overloading. Hope you guys are clear, right? Still any doubts? And let me start concept called static. What is static keyword, team? Based on your knowledge, what is static keyword?
Variable.
Is that Jyoti? What is the static keyword? And where we are using static keyword?
A differentiating variable.
Okay, one
Public.
thing. Anyone? Anyone?
For
Anyone?
public variables, we are giving static keyword.
Good. See, earlier we discussed a concept called variable types, right? So variable types we are differentiating in two major ways. based on data types, right? So what are the data types we have? Primitive data types and non-primitive data types. And moreover, variables we are differentiating based on the position, right? So what are the variable types we have discussed? We have discussed local variable. If the
Global
variable
variable.
inside, if the variable inside a local inside a method, we are saying that this is a local variable. Yes or no? Let's say int a equals to 100. This is local variable. Why? Because it is a inside method inside this particular method. That's why we are calling as a local variable. Nothing but this is a local variable. If you're declaring a variable outside of the method, int b equals to 200, this is global variable, right? This is global variable. And again, we have a one more variable type. We have a static variable, right? So how to define a static variable? Variable with static keyword. Int c equals to 300. See, this is a global variable. This is a global variable, and for my global variable, I am giving a starting keyword. So variable with static keyword, right? No confusion. Up to now we have discussed. So local variable inside a method, global variable outside the method. So variable, nothing but global variable with static keyword, that is we are calling as a static variable. For my local variable, can I give static keyword? No, program will not allow to give a static keyword for your local variables. Always local variable is non-static. This is also we are calling as non-static. Non-static nothing but, so we are saying that non-static. Non-static nothing but without static keyword. No difference. People are calling with static keyword, without static keyword, or else non-static. Clear? Now, see, observe team. What is the use of the static keyword? We'll discuss now. Anyway, we can declare a static keyword for variables, and observe, I have a method, imported method in Java, which is having a static keyword. My main method also having a static keyword. Even I can declare a method with static keyword. Public static void test method. System.println. So this is my own method, static method. As of now, I can declare static keyword using static keyword. So I can declare what? One is static variable, right? So other one is static method, right? And one more thing, you can say static block. What is a static block? See, what is the use of static block? We'll discuss now. So, and before that, let me discuss the use of static keyword. See, observe, earlier I have discussed. So if you're not interested to access variables or method without creating an object, go for a static. Remember team? Let me take one more class here. My class name is A. See here, I am declaring a variable int a equals to 100. Observe team, I have a main method. If I want to access this main method, observe system.println, I want to print a value. I think you came across this issue. So if I'm trying to access a value here, I am getting error. Observe team. So move cursor to the error. What it is saying? Cannot make static reference to the non-static field. Right? What it is saying? It is nothing but we cannot access non-static, nothing but the variable without static into static method. Observe here, I am converting this non-static variable into static variable. Observe, error gone. Clear? And I'll tell you team why we are getting error and why we are not getting error for static variable. Now, if I am not having the static keyword, I am getting error. Now observe, inside one of the static method I am getting error. Let me take one more variable, sorry, one more method, public void. This is a test method. Test method without static keyword. Now observe, same here I am trying to print in my own method, which is non-static method. Am I getting error here? Here I am not getting error, here I am getting error. And here try to access one more variable into b equals to 200. Observe here, same system.println, this time b. Now this time b. See, convert this is into static. See, able to differentiate team static keyword and non-static keyword, static variable and non-static variable. Any confusion here? So only thing you have to remember, the only one key point you have to remember here, if you want to access anything inside a static, whether it may be a main method or your own static method, even we can declare our own static methods. Public void, sorry, public static void my own static method. This is not a main method. Observe, same logic. There is no difference but between this method and main method. Anyway, this is the main method, which is static keyword. This is also static keyword. Accessing point of view, there is no any difference. Here also getting error for a variable. Here also getting a variable. See, the only one thing you have to remember, the key point is here, if you want to access, if you want to access a variable or method inside static, that should be static. That variable or method, that nothing but that variable or method should be static. Clear team? So if I want to access a variable or a method inside a static method, that should be static. I'll give you one simple definition here. I'll give you a simple diagram here so that you will get a clarity. Let's consider I'm having a class A. If I create object for A, what will happen? What will happen, team? If I create object for class A, let's consider this is my class A, right? So inside this, I'm having a methods like this. If I create object, what will happen? Please respond, team. If I create object for a class, what will happen technically? Background. Based on your observation, based on your understanding. So if I create object for a class, what will happen? Why you are thinking that much, team? So if I create object for a class inside JVM, there may be a allocation of memory. There may be a allocation of memory for a class. How will you create object? Class name, object name is equal to new class name. Right? So if I create object for a class, there may be a allocation of memory with two blocks. Let's consider this is we are calling as non-static. This is we are calling as static. This is static block. This is non-static block. So after the creation of memory, so it will give you static variable, non-static variables. I can say like this: static variables and static methods. And here non-static variable, and non-static method. There may be allocation of non-static variable and non-static methods. Here there may be allocation of only static variable, static, I can say blocks, I can say static variable or method. This is the process will happen background. If you create object for a class, this will be the happen. Inside a JVM, there may be a allocation of memory for your class. This is acting as your object. This will be of your object for your class. Clear, team? See, that's why, and here by the time of class object creation, before creating object, your static methods, your static variables going to be executed. By the time of class loading JVM, so before creating object, this will be the first steps. What is the first step? There will be a allocation of static variables and static method. This is the first step. This is the first one, and this is the second one. First, it will allocate memory for static variables and static method and static blocks. Again, after that, it will be allocate of non-static variables. Anyway, non-static, you can access object, you can access with object reference non-static variables and non-static methods and static methods and static variables. This may be a confusion, little bit of confusion, team. So try to understand. Here, what I'm trying to say here, before executing of your non-static methods, there will be a possibility of execution of static methods and static variables. This is the first way. What is the first way? What is the first step? By the time of JVM loading, there may be a allocation of memory for static variables and static methods of your class. That is the first step. And this is the step before the object creation of a class. That's why if you want to access a variable or method inside a static method, that should be a static. Observe here, for B I'm not getting error. Why? Because it is a static. For A I'm getting error. Why? Because it is a non-static. A and B you can access inside a non-static, but inside a static you can access only static. If you want to access a static variable, if you want to access a static method inside a static, that must be a static. otherwise it will get error. And within non-static, inside a non-static, you can access static or non-static. It won't give you any error. See, A is a non-static because there is no static keyword for A. B is a static. Am I getting any error here for static or non-static? No, right? Here inside my A, this is A is getting error because it is a non-static. And this is also my own method. This is also non-static, sorry, static method, getting error for A because A is not having a static. Clear, team? The only one condition inside a static, you can only access static. Inside a non-static, you can access anything. Inside static, we can access only static variables or methods. Inside non-static, we can access any variable or method. Clear, team? These are the key points you have to remember. Inside static, if you want to access method or variable, that must be a static. Inside non-static, you can access anything. There is no any restriction. The only one restriction is if you want to access a method or variable inside a static, that must be a static. This is very, very important. Otherwise, you cannot access. Please let me know if you have any doubts. Bhargavi ma'am, so
This conference will now be recorded.
When we will go for a static keyword, we'll discuss now. Right? As of now, to avoid errors, make it static. Right? See, let me create a class called Otter. This is my class, Otter. See, let me make a variable called int Otter age or else age, right? Int town or else city. I think it's string city, right? See here, let me take main method and take string name. Now observe here, I want to update one Otter. Otherwise, let me give age and let me maintain Otter ID also. Otter ID. See, there are four variables I'm taking here. Int ID, right? Int age, Otter ID, int age, Otter name, int city, right? See here, let me take one method, public void display. This is a method to display Otter details. So if you want to update a voter details, I can update like this: voter class name object. So voter name, just give David. David equals to new voter. Here I can update my voter values like this. So David dot ID equals to 1, 2, 3. Right? Now David dot age equals to, let's give me 25. Right? And David name already we are differentiating with object. Now update here David dot city. I can give my David city is Hyderabad. Any confusion? Just I have a class voter. Inside my voter class, I have a variables like voter ID, voter age, voter city. Anyway, I can create object for my voter class with I'm differentiating my object with David. Right? Now observing, if I take like this, let me create object. See, it will create object like this inside a JVM. Inside a JVM, it will create object like this. Actually, it will create object like this. This is non-static block. I can give like this: non-static block, static block. Yes or no? Inside non-static block, there may be a, what are the variables? Here we have taken ID, age, city. ID, memory, so and so, 1, 2, 3. Right? Age, so and so, 25. Name, so and so, or else city. Right? City, so and so. Now, so as of now, there is no any static variables. Now my static block will be empty. Right? Now observe here, here there may be a allocation of memory for voter ID, voter age, here voter city. And now observe again, there may be a one more voter. Now this time John equals to new voter again. Again I have to update these values for John. John ID is 1 to 4. John age, let's consider 26. Again, John is from city Hyderabad. Again, there may be allocation like this. Inside a JVM, there may be allocation like this. This time, John ID equals to 1, 2, 4. Age, John age equal to 26. Now, city equals to HYD. Observe here, what is the duplicate here? For the voter John and David, what is the duplicate? What is the duplicate?
Second one.
Sorry? What is the duplicate team here? Inside in David details and John details, what is the duplicate? Please respond, team. Exactly. See, for David and John, so there is only one duplicate is city. So observe team. So if I am keep on creating object, memory will be increased, and moreover, inside my object there may be a duplicate city. So if consider there are 5 lakhs of voters inside Hyderabad. There are 5 lakhs of voters. For every voter I am creating object, there may be possible of creating each and every object for each and every outer. I'm keep on creating. And so here I can avoid the duplicate of city here. How to avoid? See here, this time just make it the duplicate variable into static. Now this time, remember Tim, whenever you make variable into static, there may be a possibility of this slightly it will bend static variable. Now this time, so these static variables are not stored here. Here initially first it will store here city equals to HYD. And this is common for each and every object. This is a common for each and every voter, so that I can avoid memory creation for each and every time. So whenever you create an object, first time it will create static block and non-static block. Inside a static block, there may be a possibility of storing static variables and static methods. Inside a non-static, there may be a possibility of storing static variables and non-static variables, static methods and non-static methods. Now this time, if I make the city HYD and program, first of all, it will consider whether there may be a possibility of presence of this variable city in static block. If it is present, then it won't create memory inside this one, inside my new object. It won't create memory for this one. Always people are going to access from this one. That is the actual use of static keyword. We can optimize memory by using static keyword. No need to allocate memory for each and every object. So if you have this type of requirement, just create your variables or methods with static keyword. And moreover, we can access these keywords, we can access the static keywords by using this class name reference. What is my class name? Outer, right? I can access this city with class name. And no need to require object reference. That is the actual use of static keyword. Please let me know if you have any doubts. I think Bhargavi is not able to hear my voice. Sweta ma'am, any doubts? So this is the actual use of static keywording. So we can apply static keyword for variables and method. Variable, that to global variables. So if you apply the global variables, we can optimize memory and we can access the static methods or static variables with class name reference. So we can access with class name reference. Right? So example is a dot if age, right? You can access like this. A is my class name, age is variable name. So if it is integer, you have to store it into one more value, int b. Clear, team? That's all for the day. So remaining concept we'll discuss tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, same time. Thank you, team. So if you have any doubts, please let me know, or else call me, message me, mail me. Thank you, team.